And welcome back. Let's turn to politics. It appears the last is yet to be heard in the Benue State All Progressives Congress, as the National Working Committee of the party has sacked the state chairman, Augustine Agada, and other members of his team. This development comes despite an ex parte order by the State High Court directing the national leadership not to remove Mr. Agada and other officials until the expiration of their 4-year tenure and pending the hearing of the application. The NWC, led by its national chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, inaugurated a 7-man caretaker committee headed by Benjamin Omale and Ben Angwe, secretary. The committee will take over the affairs of the party in Benue State for 6 months. And former chairman of the APC in Benue State, Augustine Agada, joins me from Abuja studio. Good to have you join us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So let's start with this latest. The National Working Committee has now removed you and members of your team and inaugurated a 7-man caretaker committee. How do you react to this?
Well, like you know, I also saw it as your accent on the news that was what transpired after an order have been served on them. I was with the bailiff in the National Secretariat where these orders were properly served on them. So I wouldn't say much. It's left for the court to decide whether or not, wrongly or rightly, their orders were carried on or it wasn't carried on.
But in the interim, what do you intend to do? Because now a 7-man caretaker committee has now been inaugurated to take over the affairs of the party, which means that in the eyes of the leadership of the party, you are no longer the chairman.
In the eyes of the law, I still remain the chairman because there was an order that said you shouldn't sack these people. They remain there for the next 4 years. Because they are executive members of the party and they were elected through a Congress. So if we are going by law, then I remain the chairman. Otherwise, if we don't subscribe ourselves to the democracy we choose to practice, then you know there's a problem. So for me, I subscribe to law and democracy and I'll go by that. But it is left for the court. I don't want to discuss this issue into the integrities of all of this because the issues are before a lawful court.
And just to be clear, you're saying that you're going to continue with your activities as chairman pending the decision of the court?
Absolutely.
All right, so I wanted to ask you why, because this issue has been on since February. One would have thought that as the ruling party, I mean, also not just in Benue State, but also in the country, the APC should be able to put its house together. Why is this particular issue in Benue State defined or all sort of resolution? Okay,
thank you. You see, the truth about it is that, of course, the leadership of the party knows it, and they know the truth about it. The refusal of the governor and its agent to respect the leadership of the party is the reason for the continuation or the reason for this continuous crisis. First, the party, the National Working Committee, the same National Working Committee that they want to respect its ruling in the case of the dissolution, decided and said that I was not suspended in the first place. They refused and they formed the factional government. It was inaugurated by the governor's chief of staff against the decision of the National Working Committee. The National Working Committee said the national vice chairman, not Alhaji Dalori, and 5 other members to the state. They sat down, they spoke, we agreed, we shook hands, and we said peace has returned to the party. They also refused. Immediately they left. Before they arrived at Abuja, they refused and they started doing a different thing. The National Working Committee again, on the 20th of March, wrote a letter to to myself as state chairman, and also to the governor as the leader, as the governor of the state and one of the leaders of the party, that as the governor of the state, can you withdraw all cases pending in courts They refused to listen or adhere to the leadership of the National Working Committee that gave that directive. So every arrangement by the leadership of the party to bring amicable resolution and peace, since we all suffered to bring this government on board, have failed on deaf ears. So it is for the governor and its agent to give reasons as to why they have refused. Not even the courts of competent jurisdiction have they honored their judgment or their ruling. Because I recall, they went to court, they took me to court that have been suspended, that I should stop parading myself. The courts, on the 12th February, set aside that purported suspension and said, no, it was not properly done. That it was more or less a shopping. So at the end of the day, they refused to honor, and they went about in creating an illegal structure. So this thing from neither the party at the national nor the court, they have refused to adhere to it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Agada, for your time. This issue continues to just have more layers upon layers. We'll continue to follow through. Thank you for your time. Former chairman of the APC in Benue State, Augustine Agada. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right, we're staying on